On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains.
Coming to you straight from San Diego, California. Let's welcome our host, April Mahoney.
With someone in my life.
Oh, what was he talking about? What they say?
Well, she's been posting on Facebook. She's one of my mentors, and she was being attacked as being a racist. And some of the things that she has put out it's sensitive, and I understand because of, everybody's emotions, how things are perceived. And there are things that I don't agree with her on. But something that's been very powerful, especially over the last 2 weeks for me, that I've been learning, instead of getting angry, let me engage in conversations with people so that we can create something. We can create compassion, comprehension, understanding. If we put more hatred and upsetness and blame into the pot, that's not going to solve anything. So I just had a really powerful conversation, and I'm going to interview her on Wednesday.
Really? See, and that's so important. As long as you're not doing no name calling and all that kind of stuff, we can have spirited back and forth. I like that. I
agree with you.
Well, I'm so glad you agree with me and that you are here with me on the Edge. Brains, we are back on the Edge with April Mahoney, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Today, there she is, Maria Diaz from Canada. Born in El Salvador, but raised in Canada. I want to talk to her about a whole lot of things, about life in Canada, about her life in El Salvador, why she is supporting and fighting with those so hard for Black Lives Matter by really, creating a platform. We'll talk to her a little bit about her platform and the lives that she's created. She's very talented. So let's welcome her on the Edge. Oh, and her coaching business, girl, guy, everybody. She's got a lot going on here. So welcome her to the Edge. How are you, Maria Diaz?
I'm doing well. April, I just want to say that I love you. I highly respect and appreciate everything that you do and the platform that you've created and all the voices that you bring out and everything that we all get to learn from all your interviews. Thank you.
Wow. That just makes me just squirt a tear. Thank you. But I love you, and I'm so glad that you're here because I got so much to ask you. Okay, so let's start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your life in El Salvador versus your life in when you moved to Canada. What happened?
Okay, so I'll just give you all the short version. I was born and raised in El Salvador. My parents were middle class. My dad was a gynecologist. He ran the maternity ward at the hospital. My mom, a university teacher. I was in private school, had a nanny, everything. And then at around 6.5 years old is when I realized that, there were differences in the world. Like, not everybody lived the way that I did. And that my parents actually were standing up for something. There was a civil war happening in El Salvador, and my parents started standing up for people who didn't have rights. And because of that, my parents were threatened. Their lives were threatened. And we had to leave in the middle of the night and leave our home and everything behind when I was 7 years old.
So your parents, they raised a rebel, okay? So
yeah, they did.
I love it. That's good. Mine were kind of rebellish in a way, they were rebellious. And that's cool when your parents are like that. Are you the only child? You have brothers and sisters?
No, we're 6.
Oh, really? Ooh,
yeah, I'm the second last of 6 kids.
Okay. So is everybody on fire like you?
Yeah, a lot of us are.
Yeah, that's good. That's powerful. All right. So now here you are, 7 years old. You moved to another country, which is way different, I'm sure, than El Salvador.
Yeah. I moved to Nicaragua. That's where we went from El Salvador. And I was there for 4 years. And then from there, we went to Mexico. And in Mexico, we applied as refugees. My parents applied as refugees to come to Canada. So I actually came to Canada when I was 12 years old.
And I love Canada. Shout out to Canada. Y'all know that's
yes. I love my
big
country.
part of my tribe. But, you guys got some issues, too. And
We do.
I'm disappointed. You know, I hear how they treat certain Native Americans, okay? And how they also treat, and you know, me and you are both very tribal. You can see it in our bone structure, okay? We are indigenous people. So I want to talk a little bit about our own personal prejudice, because before we, you know, call somebody else out, we got to look at ourselves. So I'll start. I had an aha moment. I was at a club one time with my girlfriend, and this guy rolls up in a wheelchair. He was dressed sharp. He was smelling good, everything. And in my mind, you know, we had a conversation. It's like, you know, what's he doing up here in the club? You know, it just, maybe it shouldn't have been there, but it was there. It was real. Girl, he got up in that club. He got to sweating. He got to spinning on them wheels. The girls was giving him lap dances. I had to stand in line to dance with him. So that's what I'm saying about making judgments about people. You know, you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't help what you see on the outside. You know, it takes work to get on the inside. Yes. So calling people racist and all this kind of stuff, your friend, she got a right to have that space and not agree with you all at the same time. But now you know who you're dealing with. Put it in perspective. Let her have that space. You let you have your space. That's what it's about. As long as the lanes don't cross up, you know, let her go on there and try to make it a teachable moment, because we cannot continue to be angry. That's part of the distraction brains. Now, back to you, beautiful. Why do you fight so hard for supporting, you know, not just Black Lives Matters, but civil rights? What does that do for you?
From my own life experience growing up and having to face hatred towards me because my parents wanted to help a community and help a country. I really learned at a young age to love, to just love people, to love humanity. And that if we come from love and understanding, that's the best opportunity that we have as human beings, to not only to create change, but to live in community. And I think that embracing differences, as long as it doesn't degrade another human being, because there's you know, I could say, yeah, we all should love each other and all of this, but it has to have the integrity of not putting another human being down. It has to have equality, you know, and what I really see for myself, why, you know, I have family members who are Black, and in the past, my own prejudices have been that, oh, I have family members who are Black, I have friends who are Black, so that doesn't make me a racist. And not really looking inside at my own behavior.
Actually, that makes you very lucky. In case somebody tells.
That makes me very lucky. But it doesn't absolve me for my own prejudices or any behavior that I have within myself that hurts another human being. And when I started looking at all of that, you know, I have made comments in the past. I remember one distinct thing that happened. I was married for 20 years, 5 years ago. And this was about maybe a good 12 to 15 years ago. My ex-husband and I were always being invited to different business opportunities. And we were going to one, and we stopped to grab a coffee close to the place that we were going to. And there was this Black man in this fancy car, right? And I automatically just came out of my mouth. I'm like, oh, he must be a drug dealer or something, like as a joke. Right? Yes, exactly.
Well, and then
the universe, God taught me a very important lesson, because soon after we arrived at the place where the event was, and he was one of the speakers talking about the business opportunity that we went to go see. So the universe, God works in such beautiful, mysterious ways to show you, to be a mirror reflection for the things that we, you know, think and the things that we learn along the way. And I really believe that it's within the system, and that the system needs to change, because these are things that I wasn't born with. These things I learned them through media,
it is
through different things, and it was scary. And now I'm looking even further. I have actually called quite a few people, quite a few of my Black friends, and I've said, look, if I ever say something racist, if I ever say anything that hurts your feeling or demeans you in any way, wherever we are, publicly, not publicly, call me out right away. Because I want to learn to, be very aware of my
Right,
own
but you know
behavior.
what? Okay, but you call out with sensitivity and
Yes,
reality. You know,
yes,
you still have to be who you are,
yes,
and you cannot walk on eggshells.
no,
Because what I don't want is
no,
you can't flip the switch back from
no,
us not thinking that every other person is a racist. I'm not gonna do that. You
no,
know, if I
no,
get it's your vibe, it's your frequency, it's your energy,
yeah,
it's your smell. Because I can smell a snake, then I'm gonna get rid of you. But it don't matter what color you are, you know.
mm-hmm,
I'm an equal opportunity lover, you know.
mm-hmm,
And so,
mm-hmm,
and there's things I don't like. I'm just trying to get that in people's brains. Give those people a little space. See, I
yes,
work with an ego coach. Oh yes,
mm,
and she's so deep that what she's taught me is that you have to feed those deficiencies.
yes,
It's like your goldfish or your flowers or your
mm-hmm,
dog. You have to feed those things. You have to
mm-hmm,
nourish it. So where a person may be lacking in understanding and wisdom, you're going to pour in compassion.
absolute
Where a person is really angry, you're going to pour in some love.
love.
When they just pouring in some straight up crazy, you're going to leave them alone. Give people, that's really, it's real simple. But all of
Yeah.
this fighting and all of this killing black folks, it's like it's a sport now. And if we were the people that they depict us to be as these, barbarians, we would have had this shit taken care of a long time ago. Okay? Because we can't handle it. But we're a forgiving people. We're a God people. We want to believe in hope. We want to be nice. We want to talk to you. We don't want to just run up on you with artillery, but you can't be hunting us in the streets, really.
That's right.
And the police officers, look, I say this and I will say it again in defense of them. That's an ugly job. When the police come, okay, it's a problem. He's not coming for milk and cookies.
No.
Okay? So he's coming to bring the peace. But if we, again, I self-identify, know who are in our community, know who we can help. If we have the opportunity, grab out and reach as many people as you can that hold it, and pour that energy back into the world. But all this nonsense and conversation, tearing up stuff, okay, we've had our temper tantrum. Now we got to get to work. We have to establish our own, okay? And again, I say this with love. It's not about isolating anybody else, but it's about self-sustainability. You go into some cultures here in California, Los Angeles, there's a whole Korean town where the banks, the businesses, the signs, the advertisement, the property, all of this belongs to the community. The Jews did the same thing when they came from Israel.
Yeah.
They came to New York and the boroughs and they brought their weaving and they built their business and their culture and their food. That is what a ghetto is. So don't get it twisted. Don't ever come at me like you live in the ghetto. You're damn right. I'm from the ghetto of South Central Los Angeles, okay? And I'm proud of it. But we have to get back to having something that we can track of our own. The Hispanic community, they've got like 4 or 5 television stations here in the US. The Black community, 1. It's a hard charge. You're out there doing some great things too. I got fired up. I'm sorry. Let's talk a little bit about your show. And now you're doing lives. But I just try to put some knowledge in these knuckleheads' brains. It's just real. It's real easy. You're making it way too difficult. Now, tell me about your show, baby.
So why I started doing lives is because I really saw that there's a real need for authentic, real conversations out there. And some people are afraid to have them. And I really believe that we can resolve anything in communication. Communication, wisdom, and understanding is love. To me, that's what love looks like. And in order for people to just feel comfortable about the conversations being had right now, I have had a few lives dealing with racism and anti-racism and what everything looks like, what conversations look like. I had a live with 3 of my friends who are white on purpose so that they could share what it's been like for them and that we could all just unpack how how do we deal with all of this in a very productive way to really tackle what the actual issue is, which is the systems that were created, not the people, and just informing people, teaching people, and actually creating a new system, right? Like for myself, I have two daughters. One of them is 14. She was out there protesting, and I said, okay, that's great. Let's take it a step further. Let's start, making a list of all the principals of every school in our area. Let's go to the superintendent. Let's go to the mayor of Mississauga. Let's create some change. Let's have a conversation. What are you people doing? What are your administrations doing to teach kids about racism and anti-racism? What are you implementing for your Black students in the school system? You do tangible things that actually create a result, and they start with conversation. So I wanted to create those type of conversations so that we could all start being in action about it, instead of being afraid of being silent, of saying the wrong thing, of being accused of being a racist, or
Right.
just
And
feeling
you know what?
negative.
And you're going to get it. You're going to get it. It's not going away. That's the new buzzword, racist, or, Black Lives Matter. Like it should, okay, yes, they do matter. So let's make it count. Talking about making it count, I want to dial back to something you said. You talked about love. Girl, you write some mean love letters to yourself. I am scared of you. I love it. I love it. Now, Brains, you better tune into those lives because they're erotic. And I'm like, oh, yes, I could see you doing a podcast of just that. It's just wonderful. And you have such passion. When did you start writing love letters to yourself?
It was about 2 years ago. I have almost 3. I have a friend of mine who, she's very spiritual, and I do a lot of spiritual work. I do Reiki and some other things, and she was one of my mentors, and she's like, we write love letters to everybody else. What about us? And at the time I was doing a lot of work on self-love, and learning to really 100% authentically accept every part of me, not just the pretty parts, but the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I learned how to write love letters, and I started writing letters to myself, and I started taking myself out on dates, and
You remind me Dennis Rodman. Do you remember Dennis Rodman? Girl,
yes, I do.
He married himself.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, I take myself to a beautiful restaurant, I buy myself some nice wine, a nice dinner, and I'm just being with me, loving me, appreciating me as a human being. And I think that's, for women especially, that's lacking a lot. We grow up in a society where it teaches us to be more of the victim or sacrificial. We have to be the good wife, the good mom, and we have to sacrifice our lives for other people. And that takes us away from actually being connected and aligned with our own higher self and with our own inner power. And when we are more powerful, that's when we actually have overflow in our cup, and we actually create more leaders within our families. So
we do. We have to get out there, okay, because folks is dying with this COVID. What's going on there with that?
It's come down a little bit. Right now they're letting more people congregate. I believe we're up to a maximum of 10 people can be in the same place at once. And they're just testing out to see if the numbers are going to continue to decline or if they're going to rise. It's, COVID has put us in this space of fear. And I really...
Are you kidding me? Is there a stronger word than fear? Okay.
No, there isn't. And it's a paralyzing word. And so that's something that's also really important to be authentic about, right? Be authentic about everything that we're dealing with, and not allow fear to paralyze us as human beings.
Right. But you know what? You got to move around, and I'm not taking it for any joke, because I work with a lot of scientists here at UCSD, and there is just, this is crazy. I'm a little concerned about the vaccine. It's coming too quick. It takes 18 months sometimes to see what the results of something like that's going to be. I'm not taking the first dose, okay? So
Me neither.
Okay.
I'm with you, sister.
Also, what do you believe about this? Do you think that this was just a little family of four sitting around, after they've been to the wet market, and this has created a worldwide pandemic? Do you believe that?
Hmm. I've been in several conversations, and I've even had a conversation with someone in the beginning of COVID where are all these cases? How come I don't know anybody? Like, is this made up? Is this, and different people have different theories. I haven't seen it in my own life. I've had friends of friends who have passed away from COVID. I've had friends whose parents have passed away from COVID. I have a friend whose friend, his name is Nick. He's an actor in the US, and he's battling it right now in the hospital. So I don't know where it came from. And I really believe that I just want to be part of the solution.
Well, you know what? I think that it came from the book of Revelations. Okay? That's where it came from. It's been documented. Okay? Dean Koontz talked about it specifically, called it by its name. So this is not no abracadabra now, And so we'll have to fight a 21st century war like they're fighting now, with drones, with technology, with cryptocurrency, with power, with tenacity, with unity. That's our weapon of today. I mean, they're not throwing bombs. Look at the United States has been turned upside down, and nobody's even cussed us out. How do you do that? Brilliance. They use their brain. And so now, help us find some solutions. What can we do? One or two things that each one of us can do right now to make us a better person, and just to make us more aware. What would you tell your coaching client?
One thing that has been very powerful for me in my life that I teach my coaching clients is to take personal responsibility. And what that looks like is every time we're faced with any situation that can have conflict in it, like every time that I have a conversation with someone and some sort of conflict arises, I am always asking myself, what did I do or what didn't I do in this situation that created the situation, or where am I responsible? The other thing is, our brain likes to make up a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I could easily say, oh, April looked at me the wrong way. She must not like me, and then just run with it and create a whole story around it, a whole, and it's really about us having authentic conversations that are real and vulnerable. So if I believe that you looked at me a certain way, I'm going to come up to you and I'm going to say, you know what, April, the way that you looked at me, I felt that maybe you're mad at me or you just don't like me. Is that the case?
Well, you know
this
what?
is what I'm thinking.
A lot of times, don't even approach it like that. Just approach it with an open heart, with a hello and a smile. Just remove that and then work to it. I shared this story with my daughter. She had a teacher that she said didn't like her. Long story short, I had the teacher come to our house for dinner. It was a whole new vibe. She got an A in the class. So if we second guess ourselves, think about how would I feel if somebody said something about whatever, my weight, my color, because you can't change this. This is the first thing you see. Yeah. A couple things I suggest is that people stop calling it white privilege, because it's not a privilege to be ugly, brains. I keep telling you that. That's not a privilege. That's a punishment. Okay? You are not self-sufficient. You're not reliant. You're not special. Nobody's special. We all die. We all got blood running through our veins. We all have family. Okay? We all have needs, and, just get with that. We're not all the same. I don't want to be like everybody else. Really? I love your uniqueness. But with that, you got to change your program up here. It's real simple. It's not that difficult. Think about when you do something to someone, well, I want this to happen to me. How would I feel if this happened to me? Or when somebody give you that side eye, when somebody looking at you crazy and said something, Oh, did I say something? Oh, I'm sorry. And keep it moving. And gossiping about folks. Okay. Everybody got some issues. Are you gossiping or are you exchanging information? Because we're all going to talk. Okay. But when you
Yes.
put that little extra on it, you add their weight, their color, what their man's doing, what their mama said, all of that kind of stuff. It just really perpetuates. And that's girlfriend to girlfriend, employee to employee,
Mhm.
you even working with clients. Tell me how you pick your clients, because everybody's not going to be your client. What are you looking for?
No.
Ideal person to work with, because you're powerful.
My clients, first of all, I coach women. And I coach women in empowering them. So my ideal client is a woman who is had enough, who is hungry and ready for transformation, and she's willing to do the work, because transformation requires work, and it's inner work that she's going to be doing. I'm there to coach, to guide, and to really create the space for that woman to be a leader in her own life and discover her own leadership, her own power, her own voice, and her own self-expression. So it's women who are really ready to be powerful in their life, to be self-expressed, and to own their power.
Okay. All right. So where'd you get your fairy wings? How did you get so much power that you're able to sprinkle pixie dust on those other little fairies?
I've been doing self-development for the past 5 years. So I exited a toxic relationship. And when I exited a toxic relationship, I didn't know who I was. I didn't love myself. I didn't feel I had self-worth. I was a people pleaser. And I didn't have a voice. And so through the self-development that I put myself through and doing all the work that I've done, I've spent well over $30,000 worth in self-development, different programs, courses, coaching. Every time that I wanted to transform something in my life that hasn't worked, I've always hired a coach. And I've done very intentional, intense work in that area so that I can then transform it and make the shift. And I think that's what it requires, right? Doing the work. So through that, I've been able to learn how to apply all of these things in my own life, and hold space for other women to do the same thing.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here with us holding some space. You are warm and you are inviting and you are sincere, and I feel your passion. And thank you, because the struggle is real. Everybody on the planet, the birds, the bees, the water, the trees, you and me, we are all in this together, and we're going to fight the good fight. We're going to win. We're going to beat this. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you.
Sorry?
I said, tell my brains how to, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
I was just going to add something. There was something in my life that happened too that was life-changing. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 5 years ago, a little bit over 5 years ago. And having to face death really gives you a perspective in life.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you a new perspective. So it really created a big shift. And that's where I examined all of my life and what it is that what kind of life do I want to live? And what kind of a legacy do I want to leave behind? And who do I want to be in everybody's life that I come across? Right. And I chose that I want to live every life that I encounter better than the way that I found it, or I want to contribute as much as possible and come from love. Well, so that really taught me something.
You got it. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you so we can get some of that love.
You can go to my Facebook page, Maria Diaz, or you can also catch me on Instagram. I know that my daughter is like my assistant. All right. And so she created my Instagram. It's called Maria D Coaching.
Okay, now, you know what? That's one thing. It's hard to find people on Instagram. So send me that. I'm gonna put it down. I mean, you give it to us.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you everything, and I'll put it on the comments as well. I'll also put the link to my program that my 4-week program is the first program that I've created for women.
Tell me a little bit about it real quick.
So for me, the basis and the foundation of everything that I learned has been self-love and self-acceptance. And having self-love created a space for me to be real with myself about the things that don't work in my life and take responsibility and accountability. So my program is divided into 4 sections. The first one is, what is self-love? You know, a lot of us think that self-love is more self-care and going to do our hair, manicure, things like that. But there's a lot more depth to that that it requires. And then the other section is about learning to let go of the things that we make up and really being real with ourselves, being authentic with our own life, and the habits that we have that don't work. Then on the 3rd week, we deal with forgiving ourselves radically for everything that happens in our lives and forgiving others. And then the final week is like really learning how to trust ourselves and trust our higher being and our inner power to be assertive and really go out there in the world and be self-expressed with integrity, because everybody can be self-expressed. You know, I can go out there and behave however I want to behave, but self-expression also comes with a certain level of responsibility, accountability, and integrity. It's about being self-expressed with taking into consideration how our self-expression impacts everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? You should be doing more than coaching. You should be preaching. Okay, I'm serious. You got a calling on your heart right there. So Brains, follow her. Really, because I've really enjoyed her lives, you know, the way that she manages her audience, especially for her being new at this. She's got a great talent. And I thank you so much for being here on the edge. Where the postcard, Brains? I don't even know where it is. We're going to use this one. Right here. This is homegrown, okay? Go and get the real deal. Get the tea from me on the edge. Blog Talk, iTunes, Mixcloud, Spotify, LinkedIn, the whole freaking planet. Thank you, Maria Diaz, for being here with me, my sister. I honor you. Come on back. You know, we have a great conversation. I feel something real good coming through the screen.
Thank you so much. Likewise, I love you. Many blessings, and many blessings to all our brothers and sisters in the U.S. and around the world. You know, I really pray for equality. I really pray for change and transformation. And I really pray for all of us to really take actions, you know, to move forward. It's great to see all the posts that we're all doing, all the conversations we're having, but it's also time to generate actions coming from all those conversations that we're having. So I'm really out to cause people to be in action in our own lives, in our own cities, so that we can really create change. Thank you. I love you.
All right. Bye-bye, Brains. Be good. Be kind. Be loved.